Okay, we will start the talk by paying homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. We'll start with the first slide. I want to emphasize that the aim of Buddhism is about realization or recognition of the truth. It's about knowing and seeing the truth. There's nothing to believe. Truth is a constant. For example, if I let go of this pen anytime, anywhere, it will drop. In fact, anyone who let go of this pen, it will also drop. There's no need to believe. Realization the truth is like getting a joke. You just laugh. You don't need to believe that the joke is funny or explain why the joke is funny. Realization is like an aha feeling. You suddenly realize something. Slide 2. My job is to point you to the truth for you to realize it yourself. Because each of us has different background, beliefs, opinions, and even different past life, how each of us realize the truth is different. So I can only point the truth to you. You have to realize it directly yourself. This is what the Buddha said in Dhammapada verse 276. Striving should be done by yourselves. The Tathagatas, which is the Buddhas, are only teachers. The good news is you just need to know where to look and you will see the truth. I want to tell you a story of a man in a house. Suddenly there was electric cut, there was blackout, power outage. The man wanted to go out with his car. He has his car key, but he accidentally dropped the car key. He can't find the keys in the dark, and then he saw the street light outside, bright street light outside. He went outside under the street light to look for the keys. The neighbor came to help, but after 1 hour, the neighbor asked, "Where did you drop the keys?" The man said, "I dropped it in the house," and the neighbor asked, "Why do you search outside?" The man said, "Because inside the house is dark, it's bright under the street light." The truth is, all our problems, without exception, are created inside us. However, it is very hard for us to see. The inside is not clear. Yeah. So we think that our problems come from the outside, and it looks that way. It is also easy to blame outside, blame the politicians, blame the economy, blame the pandemic. The good news is that since the problems are created inside, all the solutions to our problems are inside us, not outside. So we do have all the answers already inside us. We just have to start looking for the keys inside. In Rohitassa Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya, book 4, verse 45, the Buddha said, "Within this fathom-long body, with its perception and intellect, that I declare that there is the world, the origination of the world, the creation of the world, and the path of practice leading to the cessation of the world." In short, it says in this body itself, we can find the answer to everything. All human beings want to search for peace, calmness, and happiness throughout our lives, but we usually search outside. Most humans try to find happiness in the perfect jobs, perfect partners, perfect house, and perfect cars. But we will soon realize that there are many people who have perfect jobs, partners, house, and cars, and still not happy. And there are people who don't have perfect partners, jobs, house, and cars who are happy. Then we realize that it's not what we have or don't have that make us happy, but maybe it's what we do. We think that if we do things that we like, we will be happy. But again, we'll find sometimes we do things, the right things that we like, we are happy. Sometimes we do the right things and we are not happy. Hence, it is also not about what we do. Then we start to think maybe it's about what we think that make us happy. If we think positive things, it will make us happy. If we think negative things, it will make us sad. We try to program our mind to be positive by telling ourselves, life is great, I'm happy. But negative thoughts will come. Then we will turn into a battle with ourselves. When you're at war, you cannot have peace and calmness. So we realize it's not about what we have or don't have, not about what we do or don't do, not about what we think or don't think. But then we will think maybe it's about not thinking at all. So we try not to think. We tell ourselves, not going to think, not going to think. But then thinking will come. So, oh no, thinking comes. And then you try again, it's working, then thinking comes again. But it becomes very tiring. So even not thinking doesn't work. So some people finally just give up and suddenly they found peace and calmness. Look at babies. You cannot find any babies that are in depression and need mental therapy. Unless the baby is uncomfortable or hungry, babies are naturally happy. That's why we feel happy when we see babies. When someone feels good, the people around him or her also feel good. So we are born happy, calm, and peaceful. Happiness is our nature. Nothing we need to have, to do, to be, to think in order to be happy. It is who we are and it's the essence of our nature. In Anguttara Nikaya, Book 1, verse 49 and 50, it is stated that Pabasara bitam bikawe chitam tanza ko akantu kehi upakilesehi upakiletanti. It means luminous monks is the mind and it is defiled by incoming or gas defilements. The next one, Pabasara mitam bikawe chitam tanza ko akantu kehi upakilesehi vipamutanti. It means luminous monks, it's the mind and it is freed from the incoming or gas defilements. Luminous means bright, it represents peacefulness and calmness. We have the wrong belief that our mind is naturally busy and we need to calm the mind. Yes, it is normally busy because of a habit, but not naturally busy. So what's the difference? Very big difference. A lot of us think that our minds is naturally busy with thoughts. We try to get rid of the thoughts to reach this calmness. But naturally, we already have the calmness. We just need not disturb this calmness. Look at this paper. What's the color of this paper? So now, what's the color of the box inside the box? Now, what's the color inside the box? But actually, it's black on top of white. The white is at the background. The mind is like this white paper. Our thoughts are like this black box. So even with the thoughts, with many thoughts, there is still a calm mind at the back. It's just like clouds in the sky covering the sun. Although there are clouds covering the sun is still at the back of the clouds. We just have to wait until the clouds move, which they will move, and then we will see the sun again. Same, we just have to wait until the thoughts go away and our calm mind is always there. One way is look at babies. They are never lost in thoughts. Babies don't worry about economy, COVID-19, because they don't think about economy or COVID-19, etc. But when the babies are sick, in need of something or in danger, they will cry. They don't waste time worrying. Likewise, our mind is naturally calm before we start creating thoughts. Look at this slide. We are naturally calm, happy, and peaceful like this piece of diamond in the center. However, we start to get lost in our thoughts, covering the diamond with dirt. Then we try to think our way out of the thoughts by getting things, doing things. This is like covering the dirt with cosmetics. Instead of covering the dirt with cosmetics by doing or getting lost in more thoughts, all we need to do is not cover the natural diamond with dirt. Okay, so one way to do it is just focus on the space where the thoughts come out, or the space between two thoughts. When your one thought's finished, before the second thought, focus on that space. Your intuition, your happiness, your calmness, it's already there in that space. Now we try for a few moments, just aware of either the space where your thoughts come or the space between two thoughts. Try for a moment. If you have difficulty, another way is to look at the space between two objects. If you look around your rooms, maybe there's a chair and a table. Look between the space between the chair and the table. Or you can look at the space between words. When you're reading newspaper, you can look at the space between words. The next slide is about, you imagine your mind is like an ocean. Pay attention to the calm water at the bottom of the ocean. Don't pay attention to the chaotic, busy waves on the surface of the ocean. If you push a beach ball underwater, it will naturally bounce back without you doing anything, because naturally the ball will float. So similarly, if you don't disturb your mind with thoughts, it's naturally calm. So for example, this space represents your calm mind. Okay, so when you start thinking, it becomes like this. You have thinking in your mind. Then if you start to try to stop the thinking or try to get out from thinking, it becomes more thinking. Then if you become upset that you are thinking, and becomes more, and you never get out. So actually you can't stop the thinking. You just have to not believe it, not hold on to it. Okay, next slide. This slide shows just now, when you are lost in more and more thoughts, you get more and more lost. You become further and further away from the natural calm mind. To solve this loss in thinking, we have to understand why are we normally lost in thoughts. Because we believe our thoughts are solid reality. We believe our thoughts are true. Thoughts are not real. Our thoughts are never real. They are just stories we created about the world. It is our perception of reality. Don't believe me. Today we will, please explore together with me. 100% of our experience of reality is made by our thoughts. We think that our mind works like a camera, very accurately recording what's going on around us. But in actuality, the mind works like a projector. It projects our thoughts into our screen of consciousness, awareness. Then we experience this created world through our senses. If a person believes that they need X, Y, and Z, all these conditions to feel A, B, or C, then they will experience that as their perceptual reality, what they perceive as real. This is how powerful our thought is. I'll give example. When you see someone with a sour face, we already start thinking that the person doesn't like us or maybe angry with us, and we feel sad. We feel our thinking. I want to share a true story about myself. There was one time when I was in a meditation center waiting for myself to be interviewed by the meditation teacher. A yogi who has just finished his interview came and tell me to be careful because the meditation teacher is in a bad mood today. He saw that the meditation teacher has a sour face. But when it reached my turn to interview, I realized that the meditation teacher has a sour face because he was having very bad stomachache. So we feel what we think, we don't feel the meditation teacher. Imagine a stranger coming to talk to you. You might start thinking, maybe this person is here to give me trouble, and you're thinking, what does he want? And you start to feel afraid or nervous. But let's say suddenly someone tells you that that person is Jack Ma from Alibaba and he wants to talk to you. Your thoughts suddenly change to happy thoughts and you feel relaxed and happy. So you feel your thoughts. So thoughts is not reliable. Imagine if you are CEO of a company and your advisor keeps giving you wrong advice, what do? You will fire him or her immediately and never listen to him or her anymore. But we never fire our thoughts. Yeah, although the thoughts always give us, very often give us wrong information. Now, to explain more about feeling, ourselves feeling our thoughts, good example is placebo. Placebo, in short, basically is you take sweet, you think that sweet is medicine, and then you get cured. The opposite, nocebo, is you take sweet, you think it's poison, and then you get sick. So placebo is an action or substance that cure the body through mental belief. Nocebo is the opposite, action or substance that harms the body through mental belief. Now I will share a few stories about placebo and nocebo. They are true stories. Placebo is first used in World War II. While treating wounded American soldiers in World War II, Henry Besich ran out of pain-killing morphine. Desperate, he decided to continue telling the soldiers that he was giving them morphine, although he was actually giving them or injecting them with salt water. Amazingly, 40% of the soldiers reported that the salt water eased their pain. So the soldiers felt their thought, not their body. They think they are getting morphine, although they are just getting salt water, and they get released from their pain. Another real case of a 1957 case study by Dr. Bruno Klopfer. He reports a story of a Dr. Philip West and his patient, Mr. Wright, who already have a very advanced skin cancer. All treatments have failed, time is running out. Mr. Wright's neck, chest, abdomen, armpits, and groin were all filled with tumors the size of an orange ball. His spleen and liver were enlarged, and the cancer was causing his chest to fill up with 2 liters of milky fluid every day. Dr. West didn't expect Mr. Wright to last 1 week, but Mr. Wright was very desperate to live. He has a very strong will, very strong will to live, and he put his hope on a new promising drug called criboyazine. He begged his doctor to treat him with this new drug, but this drug is only offered in clinical trials to people who are believed to have at least 3 months left to live. So actually, Mr. Wright is too sick to qualify. They don't want to waste the drug on him because basically he can't last. He's going to die. But Mr. Wright didn't give up. Knowing that the drug existed and believing that the drug will be his miracle cure, he pestered his doctor until Dr. West reluctantly gave him and injected him with criboyazine. Dr. West performed the procedure injection on Friday, but deep down he believed that Mr. Wright would not last that weekend. But to his utter shock, the following Monday, Dr. West found that his patient walked out of bed, and according to Dr. Klopfer, Mr. Wright's tumor masses had melted like snowballs on hot stove and were half the original size. 10 days after the first dose of criboyazine, Mr. Wright left the hospital cancer-free. Mr. Wright was praising the criboyazine drug as a miracle drug for 2 months until a scientific magazine began reporting that the criboyazine doesn't seem to be effective at all. Mr. Wright, who trusted what he read in the magazine, fell into deep depression and his cancer came back. This time, Dr. West, who genuinely wanted to help save the patient, decided to get sneaky. So he told Mr. Wright that some of the initial supplies of the drug had deteriorated during shipping, making them less effective. But he had managed to get a new batch of highly concentrated, ultra-pure criboyazine, which he could give him. Of course, this was a white lie. Dr. West then injected Mr. Wright with distilled water, just water. And a miracle happened again. The tumors melt away, the fluid in his chest disappeared, and Mr. Wright was feeling great again for another 2 months. Wow. Then the American Medical Association announced that a nationwide study of criboyazine proved that the drug was utterly useless. This time, Mr. Wright lost all faith in his treatment. His cancer came right back and he died 2 days later. So we feel our thoughts, not our circumstances, and not even our body. But this is good news. We have no control over our circumstances in the world. We have no control over the weather, politics, economy, pandemic, disease. But I just show you that we don't feel our circumstances. We feel our thinking of our circumstances. And these thinking are impermanent. They keep changing. So long as you don't hold on to our thoughts, we can have new thinking. Every new reality is just a thought away. Thought is a creative energy that keeps changing from moment to moment to moment. Just like in a dream, you can be in Indonesia in one moment and then in UK in the next. Hence, changing your thinking is not changing a material object. To change a badly maintained building will take a lot of time, but to change your thinking does not take time at all. Time is only a concept in the material world. Another story I want to share, it's about when I was in first go to high school, every day I would walk home whether it is rain or shine without any umbrella or raincoat. And I never use umbrella or raincoat even if it's raining very heavily. Although I was all wet when I reached home, I never had problems. Until one day, my mom saw me soaked wet and warned me that I will get sick walking in the rain. The next time I walked in the rain, I was sick. I feel my thinking of the rain and not the rain. When my thinking changed to negative, then I was sick. Another story is a real story about a man who was repairing a refrigerated van on a Friday evening. He was accidentally locked inside and he knew that no one will come to rescue him until Monday morning. He knew that by then he'll be frozen to death. But he had pen and paper, so he decided to write down how he was slowly frozen to death for future scientific research. Monday morning, they found him frozen to death. His description is exactly what happened to people who are frozen to death. Only one small problem. The refrigeration was not on at all. It was not cold. Yeah, not cold at all. So the man thought he was frozen to death and he was frozen to death. So our thoughts is just like rainbow. It's there, but not there. Our thoughts create our realities, so it's illusion. Not real, but not nothing. It exists, but it's not real. Because we know rainbow is just dispersion of light in water droplets. It's not solid. You can't grab a rainbow and carry it home with you. Everyone knows that. However, we take thoughts as real. We hold on to the thoughts and carry them in our memory. Although thoughts is an illusion, it's not bad. We can enjoy illusion just like we can enjoy the rainbow. Our thoughts mainly is about the future and the past. Thoughts about the past is useless because we cannot change the past. Thoughts about the future don't help also because it's mainly worrying about the ever-changing future. We think we know the future. We worry about what if this happened, what if that, 100 different possibilities. But future changes every moment. We limit ourselves by using the limited known past to predict the boundless unknown future. So how do we know we are lost in our thoughts? Our feelings are the indicators of thought. Feelings and thoughts are two sides of the same coin. If you have positive feelings, means you have positive thoughts. If you have negative feelings, means you are thinking negative thoughts. But both positive and negative thoughts are illusion, stories created by your mind. Feelings are like indicator in the dashboard of the car. When the indicator makes a warning sound to tell you that there's a problem in your car engine, you don't get angry with the indicator and try to fix the indicator. You fix the engine. When you are angry, you don't have to fix your anger. You are angry because you have angry thoughts. Yeah, Buddhists usually likes to fix our angry feeling. You don't have to. Because you have angry thoughts because you believe those thoughts are real and true, but they are not real and not true. If all people learn is not to be afraid of their experience or their feelings, then that alone will change the world. Thoughts are impermanent. You don't even have to fix your thoughts. As long as you don't hold on to the thoughts strongly, new thoughts will come. Thoughts naturally flow like water in a river. New water will keep flowing as long as you don't jam up the river by holding and stopping the flow of the water. So same, as long as you don't hold on your thoughts, new thoughts will keep flowing. Someone can scold us once, but every time we think about the event, we are scolding ourselves. Every time we think, why he scold us? How come he scold us? Why should he scold us? We are actually scolding ourselves. Actually, we don't have to think about the person scolding us. We have a choice. Same, actually, our self, our identity, it's also illusory. It's also the same. There is seemingly a self, but actually it's just 5 processes operating. Body, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. In Fina Sutta in Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha said, the body is like foam, feeling like bubble, perception like mirage, mental formation like the core of a banana tree, consciousness like magician. So all have no substance. They are not solid. They are illusory. Okay, the next slide, illusory self. Anytime you say that I'm X, you are slowly creating your illusory self. So X can be anything, your name, your job, your marital status, race, religion, nationality. This and much more will become your personal but illusory story. Then you become less and less calm because more and more things to protect. You have to protect your name, you have to protect your job, and so on. Each time people say something bad about your name, job, you might get upset and you have to spend time and energy to fight back. But you don't have to realize that you are not your name and you're not your job. When you're working, you might be an engineer, but at home, you are a father or mother. And when you visit your parents, you are a son or a daughter. So your job is just a role you play, like an acting role you play in a movie. It is not real, it's a story, it's an illusion. It is the same, your name, race, religion, and so on. But as long as you know it's illusion, it's not a problem, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with these stories or illusion if you don't believe them as solid reality. We pay money to go to the cinemas to watch movies to be frightened. We watch ghost movies to be frightened. We watch sad movies to cry like Korean dramas. But that's not a problem. So movies are illusion, but we can still enjoy them. Illusions are not a problem as long as we don't take it as real. Physicist David Bohm says, thought creates the world and then says, I didn't do it. You might ask, if I don't believe in my thoughts, how do I perform my daily job and responsibilities? Actually, we are naturally connected to infinite wisdom in the universe. As long as we don't disturb ourselves with our thinking, our natural, innate intuition will know what to do, when to do, what we need to do. Our performance, how well we perform in life as a worker, maybe engineer, doctor, or nurse, or as a mother or father, depends on actually our potential, which is naturally inside us, including our intuition, minus our interference by our thoughts. So it means that if we don't waste our energy interfering with our natural potential by worrying, doubting ourselves, we perform much better. Yeah. So we don't need to get more information to perform better. Do you have children? Have you realized that if you pause and stop getting angry, worried, or doubting about them, in your calm mind, you know how best to teach them even when they are naughty? Okay, have you experienced that when you're trying to solve a problem or try to remember something, you think and think and think and you can't find the solution? Then you went to sleep and rest and stop thinking and the solution came. This is because naturally, you just have to direct the mind to the task And when the time is right, the answer will come. Okay, example is there's two computer, okay? I give you a choice between computer A with only 100 megabytes of hard disk drive, but high speed internet access, and computer B with lots, very big 10 terabytes of hard disk drive, but no internet connection, which one will you choose? Definitely you will choose A, yeah? But computer B is like our mind with our thoughts and memory. Computer A is a calm mind which is naturally connected to infinite wisdom in the universe. Great inventions in the world are all discovered during moments of calm and peace, like Newton sitting down under the apple tree. In the beginning of the 20th century, before we have internet, very often, the minute a scientist discovered something new in America, a different scientist in Europe who was not connected will discover the same thing. Because we are all interconnected, especially when we are calm. The problem in our life is that it's not that you have thoughts. The problem is you listen to the thoughts and you give them credence, you agree with them. A thought without credence is like a balloon without air, no problem. So in conclusion, the teaching of the Buddha is a practical solution to a basic problem of human existence, which is our perceived insecurity of life and the resulting anxieties that underlies all our daily concern, troubles, and tribulations. This is done by seeing the reality. If one day you think that you saw a snake in your room and scream, I came and saw it is actually a necktie. To totally solve your problem, I need to tell you that what you saw is not a snake, but actually a necktie. However, until you can really see and know for yourself that it's really not a snake, but just a necktie, you will still be very frightened. Believing in me doesn't help. You need to see it yourself. So two important things in this talk. One is where your experience comes from your thoughts. And we already have natural mental health.
Saya ada satu pertanyaan, Bante, terkait dengan placebo effect. Jadi terkait dengan cerita yang kisah tentara yang sedang terluka, di mana kondisinya morfin sedang kondisi habis, sehingga pihak dokter kalau nggak salah mengatakan bahwa sedang diberikan morfin, padahal itu berupa infus berupa air garam. Jadi apakah boleh dikatakan seperti satu kalimat, you are what you think. Jadi kita pikirkan bahwa hal ini positif, baik gitu ya, maka pikiran kita itu benar-benar membuat ini hal yang positif dan itu bisa terjadi, Bante. Seperti satu teori terkait dengan apa? The Secret ya, Bante, atau
if you try to program yourself with positive thinking, then you will have problem because you will get stressed. I have to program myself. You have to understand that positive thinking and both positive thinking and negative thinking are illusion. When you don't believe them, then you go beyond them. Of course, positive thinking is better than negative.
Yes. Namo Buddhaya, Bante menjelaskan tentang manajemen pikiran atau cara bekerjanya pikiran. Proses berpikir bahkan padamnya pikiran itu sendiri. Nah, bagaimana pandangan Bante tentang pikiran itu sendiri? Di mana satu sisi kita ingin peradaban manusia meningkat, tetapi di sisi lain kita harus memadamkan pikiran-pikiran kita yang tidak nyata seperti yang Bante sampaikan. Untuk meningkatkan taraf hidup manusia, saat ini teknologi sangat dibutuhkan. Nah, untuk menghasilkan teknologi, manusia perlu berpikir, menganalisa, dan menemukan cara untuk mempermudah pekerjaan manusia. Contoh sederhana dengan aplikasi Zoom yang kita pakai saat ini, tapi di sisi lain pikiran itu sendiri tidak nyata.
Oh, okay, I understand. What I'm saying about thinking, about thoughts, does not include planning and doing. It doesn't, when I'm saying thinking, I'm talking about the worrying, do I do it right? Am I doing the right thing? Is it, is things going to be okay for me? I'm talking about those thoughts. You're planning, you're discovering, you're inventing new things. I'm not talking about that. That doesn't disturb you. The planning and all that, it comes in a flow. It just comes. What the thoughts I'm talking about are those worrying thoughts, doubting thoughts, and so on.
Pengertian afirmasi pikiran itu apakah untuk mendapatkan sesuatu? Apakah benar seperti itu?
Yeah.
Apakah salah gitu, Bante?
But it depends on what you are trying to affirm. If you try to affirm that tomorrow I'm going to make a mistake, you try to affirm your worry, you affirm your doubt. That's not good. That's making your thoughts more. So it depends on what your affirmation. If your affirmation to be you make affirmation to learn more about the truth, that's good affirmation.
When we are dreaming, are we
aware?
In the consciousness state? Or are we not consciousness?
We are not conscious because we are not conscious that we are in a dream. We are not conscious that it's an illusion. You're experiencing what's going on, but you think it's real. You are not awake, but there is an awareness there. That's why in a dream you get frightened by ghosts and all that, because you are aware what's going on. But you're not awake. Actually, on a different note, dream is actually one way, a good practice for you to see that your life is an illusion. If inside a dream, you can know that it's a dream without being awake, you can do many things. Imagine if you're in a dream and every time if you know it's a dream, you're awake. Okay, but let's say if it's in a dream, you know it's a dream, but you didn't wake up, you can fly in the dream. You can do magic in the dream because it's a dream. Try experiment with that. Then if you can do that, then you can slowly see that the dream, the normal life that you have is a dream. The Tibetan does this practice.
How do they? But they said that's how Tibetan Buddhism.
They use this as a practice.
Oh,
they use this. It's called dream yoga, to be awake in the dream but not wake up from the dream.
Can do?
Only successful ones. I tried only. Can. I tried only, but only successful ones. And in that dream, I can do anything. I can fly. I can appear and disappear because it's a dream.
Ini ada penegasan lagi dari Pak Heri Gunawan tentang mimpi. Maksudnya, apakah mimpi disebabkan karena pikiran kita selama kita saat kegiatan, selama tidak tidur, jadi dalam beraktivitas. Jadi karena kita beraktivitas hingga membuat kita mimpi. Dan kenapa bisa terjadi suka bermimpi yang seram-seram? Nightmare. Silakan.
Is he asking whether the dream is connected to his daily life?
Yes.
Yeah. Dreams.
And why we have mostly nightmare. We have the nightmares.
Dreams are not all, but are a lot connected to our daily life. And why you have nightmare could be, I don't know, one possibility is in daily life you have fear. And actually dream is not really bad because there are some things that you dare not face in your daily life. And in the dream, it produces a lighter version for you to go through. Yeah, there are certain things that you cannot handle. You're too fearful to handle, but you need to handle. So the dream will give you a easier version for you to handle. Does that make sense? Say, for example, your parents died and you can't take it. Okay, so maybe in your dream you dream that you saw some birds dying,
Mm.
because you cannot take your parents dying. So you maybe in the dream you saw some birds dying, and you feel sad too,
Mhm.
but at least not as sad as your parents dying. A solution for him actually is, again, don't believe your everyday thoughts. Because you believe your everyday thoughts, you have fearful feeling, and then at night you will have fearful dreams.
Terima kasih Bante. Maaf Bante, jump in kembali ke pertanyaan terkait dengan afirmasi. Ini Pak Frankie Fonso bertanya lagi. Maksud saya terkait dengan afirmasi, setiap hari kita mengafirmasi, semoga besok dan hari selanjutnya saya akan mendapatkan berkah keberuntungan, kebahagiaan, dan kedamaian. Apakah pelatih pikiran seperti ini dimungkinkan? Atau sebaliknya, kita mengafirmasi, semoga hal tidak baik menjauh dari kita setiap saat.
He's asking which one is better. If he asks which one is better, then definitely the first one. You don't think, if you think I don't want something, that thing will happen to you.
Terima kasih Bante. Selanjutnya pertanyaan dari Pak Mansur. Ada 2 pertanyaan Bante.
Yeah.
Apakah hanya pikiran saja penyebab dari kekotoran batin? Apa tidak ada penyebab lain? Itu pertanyaan pertama. Kedua, di manakah pintu landasan dari pikiran? Dan di manakah pintu landasan dari perasaan?
Okay, first question first. Yes, because everything comes from the mind, actually. Buddha says in Dhammapada, the mind is the chief, the mind is forerunner of all phenomena, all Dhamma. So the mind basically where the thoughts come. So that's the main cause of everything. Base of the thought and feelings, Hadaya Watu, from the heart base. And in fact, this is stated in Abhidhamma that the base of our mind is in our heart. And scientists has discovered now that in our heart, there is this, 40,000 brain cells there. That means our heart is actually a second brain. So Abhidhamma is correct. Feeling also same.
Terima kasih Bante penjelasannya. Bante, ada satu pertanyaan lagi di Telegram. Pertanyaannya seperti ini. Bante, saya mau tanya, seperti penjelasan Bante bahwa pikiran kita itu tidak real, seperti gelembung yang hilang di air.
Yeah.
Sebagai seorang karyawan, kalau kita mengalami kemarahan dari atasan, bagaimana kita harus merespon? Apa kita diam atau kita argue kalau kita tahu kemarahan itu tidak benar? Dan kalau kemarahan ini adalah ilusi, kita sedang dalam tahap ilusi itu, dan setiap hari kita mengalami ilusi ini, jadi sebagaimana kita harus bersikap dan mengatasi hal ini? Mohon advice Bante.
If you still ask the question, what should I do? Means you think that the anger is real. If it is an illusion, if you can see that it's an illusion, you don't need to do anything. It's not real. Okay, this is the first part. Okay, so your question will be how to see that it is an illusion. Okay, so when you have angry feeling, it means you are thinking angry thoughts. Okay, and why you keep thinking angry thoughts? Because you think that your thoughts are real. So you have to see that your thoughts are not real. So his next question will be maybe how to see my thoughts are not real. Okay. He has to experiment in his daily life. For example, I give the example, you got to look back in his daily life. Like I give the example of me seeing someone, someone seeing some with a sour face and you think it's angry. Or you think of cases where the person just now, he take, he take, sweet, he think it's a real medicine and he get cured. You have to contemplate and think of cases like this in your life. You have to experiment.
Oh, Bante, this is me asking. Now
Okay.
is the boss is scolding him.
Okay.
He's something like as an employee, then my boss is scolding me right now.
Correct. Yeah.
So how to make me think that it is an illusion?
You have actually, it's not so easy to, if you want to think that it's an illusion at that time, if you're inside it, it's very difficult. Okay. That you have to, in other times, start training for not to believe every single thing you think. But now we always believe what we think.
It's difficult, Bante.
You have to practice in your daily life. You have to not believe everything you think. Okay, because you think the boss is scolding you, maybe not.
How can not, Bante? He's not
Okay,
scolding me.
Yeah, no, because maybe the boss in the morning, the wife was very angry with him and he's a very bad mood. So he come and he scold you, but it's not your fault. You think it's your fault. It can be many, many reasons. But we only think that, the boss hate me. We always stop there, the boss hate me. But it could be the boss was being scolded by his boss and he had a bad time. Have pity on him. Or maybe his son, he just found out this morning his son has cancer and he's sad and angry. Do we realize that when someone scolds us, that person is actually in pain? Yeah?
So we have to pity on him.
Actually, we have to have not compassion is the word.
Compassion, okay.
Yeah. Pity means like, yeah, you are, I look, poor you, poor you there. That's pity. Pity is not very good.
That's
You
not
should
very
have
good.
compassion, yeah. Compassion or empathy is the word. You should have,
empathy.
Feel with the person.
So Bante, can we think in another way? Like he is scolding me right now. So in Abhidhamma, what I heard, which is something that I don't like, it is my vipaka. So I don't need to be angry because I'm receiving my akusala vipaka through the sota vijnana, something like that, Bante.
If it helps you, it's okay. But for most Buddhists, when they think that way, they will blame themselves. They will think it's my, it's my bad lah. I did bad things in the past lah. That is no good. But if you can see, it's just you can say certain condition that come. Because of certain condition, there's this outcome. It's not it's a fact. It's not something bad or good. Then it's okay if you can do that. Also, when the person scolds us, actually it's just sound. We are the one who interpreted the words to meaning. We are interpreting the words to meaning. It's just sound. When the person says something, it's just sound only.
Yeah, but we understood one day what he is saying.
That's because you think it's again your thought. You get what I mean or not? Let's say if I scold you in German,
I don't get
problem.
It. Yeah, no problem.
So it's your thought. It's not that person. He scold you in German, you have no problem.
Unless I understand the German.
Yeah, that's because it's again your thoughts. You interpret it.
Yeah.
To a meaning, and then you get angry. You can do that also.
Terima kasih, Bante. Question from Brother Rodestan.
Yeah.
Soti Hotu, Bante.
Yeah.
Natural calm mind is about mind.
Yeah.
What the connection with natural calm thought? And how to get natural calm mind?
There is no natural calm Thought is the one that causes us don't have natural calm mind. And how to get natural calm mind is my Dharma thought told Dharma thought today.
Yes.
It's basically not believing the thoughts.
I have this habit. I think he's truly like this. He truly think like this. He truly think like that. Actually, this is all my thinking. So yeah, this is the thought created by my mind, which is not calm. Is it like that? When my mind is not calm, I create this kind of thoughts.
Yeah, and also because you believe in the thoughts. If you don't believe them, you won't continue. So you have to question your thoughts whether it's real or not next time.
Maybe Bante, when I think he surely think like this, so I get it. I have to practice the thing. Does my thing is real or not?
You have to practice.
To practice like that.
Okay.
Sadu. Baik, Bante. Pertanyaan terakhir di malam ini. Pertanyaan dari Brother Rudy. Bante, saya mau bertanya. Apakah saat kita melakukan perbuatan baik, kita ingin melakukan pelimpahan jasa dengan mengarahkan pikiran kita ditujukan untuk almarhum orang tua agar bisa tersampaikan?
Asking, will it reach them? What's his question? Will that transferring of merits reach his?
When we do the sharing merit, Bante, should we focus our mind to our belated parents, maybe they passed away already, so they can get our merit?
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely. But we don't know whether he is reborn at what state.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. If he doesn't know, if the parents doesn't know, then he cannot get, right? When they cannot get the sharing merit. Let's say maybe the parents are reborn at the hell or in the animals realm.
Doesn't matter. We do our job. Whether they get it or not, we do our job. And sharing of merits is a meritorious deed.
Yeah.
So we don't try to think so much.
Sadu.
Etawata camehi sampadang punya sampadang. Sabe dewa anumodantu. Sabe bhuta anumodantu. Sabe sata anumodantu. Sabe sampati siddhya. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idame punyang asawa kayawahang hotu. Idame punyang nibbana sa pacayo hotu. Mama punya bagang sabba satanang pajemi. Te sabe me samam punya bagang labantu.
Sadu. Buddha sasanang siram titatu. Buddha sasanang siram titatu. Buddha sasanang siram titatu. Sadu.